Well, here we go, folks. You take all the spark arrestors you could find on the bench and you put them in your little jar of horseradish. That's all I could find on this disorganized bench. There was one on this workbench, and there was one in the nut and bolt organizers, and that's all I could find was 4. I'm sure there's more somewhere, but I'm not hunting for them. And here's the big secret that nobody knows. Oven cleaner. It's the only thing that'll touch the carbon on a spark arrestor. And I mean the only thing. We'll give them a good healthy shot. You want them to be covered up, so make sure you get them covered completely. Put the lid on and let them soak. Well, some knucklehead knocked my jar off the counter and it shattered. So these guys have had 2 treatments. Normally that's completely black, foamy, and just nasty inside there. But we're going to fish them on out of here. Throw them on a paper towel. We're going to put a pair of latex gloves on, put them in a rag, and take them straight to the air compressor. Put your safety glasses on, and we'll do these one at a time. We'll come in down here from the opening, cover it up. We'll give them a little bit of parch cleaner to help break it down a little more. We'll give them one more shot with the air compressor. And these guys are ready to use. Well, I don't know if you can see through there, and I don't know if the camera will show this, but let's hold them up to the light and see if we can see in there. And boy, it looks like it got everything off. These things are in very usable condition. Let's take a look at one that's just coming out of a machine that I know is plugged. I will pull this guy out of here and we'll take us a comparison. Machine came in for a tune-up because it was running poorly. And look at that. That thing is completely blocked. I doubt this machine ran at all. So there you have it, folks. That's your best known method. When the exhaust gases don't evacuate out of the machine, it can build up the same carbon on the inside of the cylinder, and it can definitely foul a spark plug. So as part of the tune-up, we're going to give them the remanufactured spark arrestor. We're going to either clean or replace the air filter, and we're going to either clean or replace the spark plug. And that'll get this fellow back in business. Pretty simple tune-up. Well, what'd you think? Is it worth it? What did it cost to clean 4 of these? How long did it take me to clean 4 of these? Well, the most expensive part was consuming this whole jar of horseradish in one night on one steak. So it was $2 in horseradish. Parch cleaner is still full. 25 cents in parch cleaner. Oven cleaner is still mostly full. Maybe $1 worth of oven cleaner. 1 glove. I used the glove, so you got to add on the cost of 1 glove. And then some electricity in the air compressor. Under $5 total to clean all 4. Time-wise, under 5 minutes to clean all 4. Throw them in the jar, let them soak, put a glove on, take them to the air compressor, blow them out, then hit them with some parch cleaner and clean them up. That easy. 5 minutes tops, $5 tops. And that's not bad right there. Well, how about some other methods to clean them? There's got to be another method. How about putting them in a jar and soaking them in parch cleaner for a few days? No, doesn't touch the carbon. It did not help. Won't help one bit. How about the ultrasonic parch cleaner? I tried it, didn't phase the carbon. Didn't take any of the carbon off the spark arrestor. So the ultrasonic cleaner's out. Well, how about a torch, a light duty propane torch? You can heat them up red hot with this. No, didn't work. I heated them right up, tried knocking the carbon off, tried scraping the carbon off, didn't work. Well, how about some more heat? So I brought out the cutting torch. Really got them glowing. Again, didn't help. It did not burn off the carbon. And actually, while they were cooling down, they weren't even red hot anymore. I knocked one off the counter and the screen broke off. It made it way too brittle and pretty much dissolved the screen. The cutting torch ruined it, and the propane torch didn't phase it. And if someone says the torch works, then it wasn't carboned up very bad. When they're carboned up that bad, the torch does not work. The torch will not phase this. How about the wire wheel right here? Well, it did buzz the carbon off the outside, but most of the carbon is built up on the inside. The exhaust gases push through from the inside and then come out. So the wire wheel cleans up the outside, but it doesn't get the carbon off the inside. The oven cleaner is the only thing that'll touch these things. Not the torch, not the parts cleaner, not the wire wheel, not the ultrasonic. Soaking them in oven cleaner gets the job done. A new one of these is only $2, so is it worth going through the trouble for just $2? Well, let me tell you a story the last time I went in to buy one of these. Whoever was in there before me must have really pissed the guy off, because he was stomping around like this. Glasses were fogging up. His glasses were fogging up. He was just pissed off. He was in a bad mood. And I go up to the counter and I said, "Hey man, I need the spark arrestors, a little round style." And he goes, "We don't got no spark arrestors. We don't got no little round style." And I go, "Oh, okay. You sure you don't have them? Real common basic part?" He goes, "Well, let me check. I need a model number, a part number. I can't just look up little round spark arrestor." I go, "Oh, it fits any of the hand blowers, the vac, the weed eaters, any of those." "Well, give me a part number. I gotta have a model number. I can't just look it up like that." And I go, "Okay, the FS91 weed eater, spark arrestor, in the muffler." Pounding on the keyboard, punches in. "Well, we got one. I'll sell you one." And I said, "Fine, I'll take it." I was going to get 5 of them, and I'm sure he had them in there, but he wasn't going to sell it to me. So I just said, "Fine, I'll take one." And I've bought at least 20 of these over the last couple years. They're $1.99 a piece. They've been that way for a few years. And when I get my spark arrestor and walk out the door and look at the receipt, he charged me $7.99. He just picked apart, not the spark arrestor part, and wrote the receipt for that. Printed me out a receipt. $7.99. So because of that, it is worth cleaning these things. If you're going to get dicked around at the parts counter, then it's definitely worth servicing your spark arrestors. Because all he's doing is wasting my time and money. And let me tell you a story of the last time I went in there last week to get some parts. Let me tell you this part scam he did to me. I go in to get a couple of fan wheels for the vacuum model. And when I walk in there, he's got everything boxed up and packaged up for me in a box. And he says, "Here you go," slides it off the counter, and I just take it. Had the receipt and everything thrown in there. So I just grab the box, walk out. I'm not even looking or paying attention. And I noticed the fan wheels were in a little cardboard box this time. And I thought, they've never been in a cardboard box. They've always been in this little plastic baggie. So when I got back to the shop, I looked at these things, and I realized these aren't fan wheels, these are fly wheels. He charged me $100 a piece. Got the tube right, the suction tube was in there, so he got me the correct tube, and a bag, but it's the small bag. It's the wrong bag. Luckily there's only one tube available, but there's a couple bags available. So I got 3 of the wrong parts, 2 flywheels instead of fan wheels, and a small bag instead of a big bag. So why would a guy do this? Well, you can have your parts counter guy sell 1 part for 20 bucks an hour sitting there all day, or you can have him sell 50 parts for 20 bucks an hour. If you give the guy an incentive. If you give the guy an incentive to sell more parts, he likely will sell more parts. Maybe you can remember back to college days when you took Econ 1 and 2. That's one of the 10 principles of economics. People respond to incentives. So give him a profit sharing option. Give him a percent of sales option. Give him 2% or 5% of the sales. Give him a kickback like that, and he'll sell a lot more parts. But here's the scam. A lot of these guys figured out that the return doesn't deduct from the incentive they get from selling parts. So if he gets 2% or 5% of the parts, and he sells me a couple flywheels for 200 bucks, when I return these, it doesn't deduct from his incentive. It doesn't deduct from the kickback he gets for selling parts. So a lot of these guys have figured out the scam, sell you the wrong part. When he returns it, he'll have to buy the right part, and he'll get another sale. He'll get another bonus selling parts. That's why he sold me flywheels, and that's why he sold me the small bag. When you get your receipt, it comes with this little paper right here with the part numbers written on it. When I was in there buying these parts, the kid was writing down the part name. He didn't even write down the part number. And then I said, "I need the discharge elbow too." So he writes down discharge elbow, writes down the model, and I go, wait, I got a discharge elbow on the shelf, I just remembered. So he scribbles out the discharge elbow. That was on this little scrap piece of paper right here. So when I get my receipt, none of that stuff that he wrote down when I was standing there is on here. What's on here? These part numbers rewritten. So that's how I know this was a part scam. They taped this little piece of paper onto your receipt, so when you go back to return, they go, "Well, this is the part numbers we were writing down when you were standing here. Look, here's that sheet of paper. We taped it to your receipt." Well, no, this little sheet of paper is fake. This is a forgery. This is 100% phony. This is not the piece of paper we were writing down my parts on that I needed. This is not that piece of paper, because it had a lot more stuff written on it. And what's he do? Rewrites it, puts down the phony part numbers that I'm going to have to return, and then tapes it to my receipt. And goes, well, this is what you ordered, this is what we wrote down. No, this is not what we wrote down. This is not what we were talking about at the parts counter. This is completely fake, 100% phony, 100% part scam. And these guys have figured that out. They figured out if you return the part, it does not deduct from their kickback. It does not deduct from their bonus. And then when they sell you the new part, the right part, they get the bonus again. They get their 2% or 5% cut. So that's how I know this was a part scam. And let me tell you about another part scam in town from our local Ace Hardware. I was in line one time with one of my guys, and he goes, have you ever noticed how this guy has to do something for 10 to 20 seconds on the computer before he'll check you out, before he'll ring up your parts? And I go, yeah, I have noticed that. It takes him 10, 20 seconds, he's doing something on the keyboard. He goes, oh, just give me a second, give me a second. And my guy goes, well, you know what he's doing, don't you? And I go, well, he's a Spanish guy. English isn't his strong spot. Maybe computers are his weakness. So he's probably doing it the long way, trying to figure it out. Make sure he's got the screen right or something like that. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what he's doing when we get in the car. So we walk up to the counter, I throw down my eye lags, my eye bolts, a couple of screws, some door hinges, some gate hinges, a bottle of glue, whatever you're buying at Ace. And when we get out to the truck, the guy goes, let me see your receipt. So I hand him the receipt and he goes, yep, he did it. I go, what did he do? He goes, he charged you 3 of those eye lags. You only got 2 of them. And I look, sure enough, he charged me 3. And he goes, that's what he's doing at the keyboard every time. He's doing a return from the last person he overcharged one item for, and he's returning it back to his account, putting the credit on his account. And at the end of the month, he cashes that out for a new power drill, a new saw, new toolbox, new socket set, whatever. And I went back and looked at a bunch of my receipts for the last couple months, and sure enough, every single one of them had 1 extra item charged to it. He double charged 1 extra item every single time. He did it to everybody that came through. And he finally got set up or ratted out somehow. And instead of calling the cops or firing the guy, they promoted him to store manager. They figured that was such a good scam, he deserves a promotion. And there is one good thing about that. Now that the guy's a store manager, he knows both sides. And a good manager needs to know both sides. He needs to be able to know this scam for the next guy and hopefully prevent it. That's the purpose. Knowing both sides is good for management. And hopefully they set him straight and got him to commit to no more scams. But it is good for a manager to know both sides. And now he can watch out for scams. He doesn't work the register anymore. He just sits back there and wanders around the store. So maybe he lost his register privileges or whatever. But he did it forever to many different businesses, many different customers. So do know, when you're at the counter, no matter where you are, you're at the mercy of the person helping you. Whether you're at the auto parts counter, your steel dealer, Home Depot, even at a restaurant or the fast food, you're at the mercy of the person helping you. And because of that, you gotta kiss at times. You gotta try to become their friend. Tell them how special they are. Tell them how important they are. Tell them how much they do around here. Otherwise, you're just gonna get conned and walk away with either an overcharge or the wrong part, or spit in your food. So you got to treat these guys with more respect than they deserve. Because as soon as they find out how to milk the system, they all seem to. I had a huge staff years ago. I had 10 to 12 people every day. And as a business owner, you get so accustomed to these scams, you go, man, I don't want to know anymore. Just quit bothering me. I got too many important things to do. So just cut it back and make it work. Can you get the job done and make it work? And they go, oh yeah, no, we'll take care of it, boss. We got it. Don't worry about it, man. We got it. We got your back. We got it all taken care of for you. And you go, fine, thank you. Because you just want an easy life. You're tired of dealing with these things. So business owners, the owners of this store, we all just get accustomed to these employee scams. We basically don't want to know, because then it causes more work for us. All businesses with employees are basically at the mercy of their employee. And when you go to the counter, you're at the mercy of the counter person. Just think about the UPS strike that almost happened a while ago. Everybody goes on strike, shut down the whole business. They're at the mercy of their employees. And it's the same when you go to the counter. You're stuck trying to kiss their ass, make them happy so they can have an easy day. So now that you know all that, yeah, it's worth cleaning your spark arrestors. Knowing the hoops you gotta jump through to get one $2 part, it's worth cleaning these things. And knowing the problems that can happen when you buy stuff, yeah, you do gotta stand there at the counter and double check everything. Taking my box of parts and walking out was probably my fault. I should have looked everything over and said, hey man, these are flywheels, not fan wheels. But ironically, the flywheel for that one machine fits other machines, and I did fix another machine. So that one screw up on their part solved the problem for me. Am I going to return the other flywheel? No, I'll just put it on the shelf. It's not worth going back and dealing with it. Next time I'm in there, I'll try to find a way to motivate them to give me the right fan wheel. You can get these things off eBay, but they're a couple of bucks more. Seems like all the online vendors are a couple bucks more. But you can find them on the internet, and usually you do alright. But in my experience, the STIHL dealer is usually always cheaper. And I like that family. I've dealt with that family for many years. So I try to support the local business. But it's the local knuckleheads at the counter that are causing the problems. They're always up to shenanigans, and you always got to be watching for it.